Rivian is investing $120 million in a state-of-the-art logistics and supplier park across the street from their Normal, Illinois factory. Now, if you follow me on social media, you would have known about this for quite some time because this is not the first time that we've heard about this. In fact, the permits are all public and we've seen what Rivian is working on. But this is the first time that Rivian, the city of Normal, and the state of Illinois are talking about it. So let's dive into what Rivian is building. First half of 2026, that is a year away, we will see R2s on the road, and you'll see a bunch of videos here on the Out of Spec channels. Of course, I will have one myself for sure, but Rivian is currently building a 1 million square foot general assembly line for the R2 in their Normal, Illinois factory, which means that they're going to have to build a ton of equipment, install a ton of equipment, a ton of machinery to help build and stamp parts for the Rivian R2. And with that, Rivian also has a ton of suppliers that are supplying parts for the Rivian R2. Of course, from the motors and body stamping, these are done in-house, but there are smaller things like the seats, for instance. The seats in the R1 are made by a subsidiary of Honda IKEA. Maybe you didn't know that. But there are a ton of parts in Rivian vehicles that are not made by Rivian. They're made by suppliers. And Rivian has said that they've found about 95% of those suppliers so far, of those key components. And so, well, they're going to have a ton of parts. And where are they going to put these parts? Where are they going to build these parts? Where are they going to support all of the infrastructure for holding these parts, to help installing them in R2 vehicles, and then even shipping them out to service centers for Rivian R2s that may need replacement parts? Well, this is where this $120 million state-of-the-art supplier park comes into play. And this comes directly from J.P. Pritzker. This is the governor of Illinois. Am I pronouncing that last name correctly? Hopefully I am. Someone in the comments will let me know. But we'll read it here. Rivian solidifies its commitment to Illinois with a $120 million investment in a supplier park, creating nearly 100 new direct jobs and hundreds of future jobs from suppliers. Now, again, this logistics supplier park is already in construction right now, so there's already a bunch of jobs being created working on it. Now, Governor J.P. Pritzker and Rivian today announced that the company is constructing a new 1.2 million square foot supplier park in Normal, Illinois. As part of this, Rivian will invest nearly $120 million, which will enable the company to develop the supplier park and create nearly 100 new direct jobs. This significant investment will pave the way for EV suppliers to locate in the park and create hundreds of new jobs while bolstering the supply chain and manufacturing ecosystem in Illinois. Construction of the supplier park is underway and is expected to be completed in 2026. In Illinois, this is from the governor, we aren't just making electric vehicles, we are creating an entire ecosystem, attracting investments, bolstering our workforce, and strengthening the EV manufacturing supply chain. Rivian's investment will attract suppliers from across the globe to invest in Illinois and continue to create good-paying jobs, providing Illinois with the competitive edge to thrive in the clean energy economy. RJ goes on to say, we are excited to see the supplier park coming together so quickly. This will be a key enabler to increasing production at the plant in 2026 when we start to build R2 in addition to R1 and our commercial vans. We are grateful to Governor Pritzker and the state's partnership, and we are looking forward to welcoming suppliers at the new space. The park will allow the company to co-locate suppliers that produce component parts for Rivian vehicles with the parts transported across Highway 150, which is known as Rivian Motorway, to the company's main facility for assembly into the final R1 and R2 models. Hosting key suppliers nearby will help Rivian fortify their supply chain, which increases consistency and continuity in the manufacturing process. Now, it's good to see Rivian expand on their Normal, Illinois factory as they have already done so far throughout the years of officially coming to Normal. They've done so much work, and building this supplier logistics site is going to help them reduce warehousing costs, and I can imagine maybe help curb some of the tariff-related costs. If they have suppliers that are outside of the country trying to help move those to Normal, Illinois, that could help avoid some of those tariff costs. I mean, we know that's a big topic right now. But this site is going to be a key contributor to the production of the R2. As I've already said, there's a ton of parts that go into R2. 155,000 R2. That is 3 times more than what Rivian currently makes. They currently make around 50,000 R1 and RCV total annually. Now they're going to be making 155,000 R2. They're going to need a ton more parts, a ton more people and expertise to help ramp up this vehicle and make sure everything goes smoothly. Of course, we do know that Rivian has their factory in Georgia that they are currently building, and I'll kind of update you on this. So the Georgia factory, which is in Stanton Springs, Georgia, that's the factory that Rivian is currently working on. It has been delayed. Of course, Rivian initially expected to start production of the R2 in Georgia. But I imagine through times with increased costs and through Rivian trying to reshape their balance sheet, they found that starting production of the R2 in Normal, Illinois, expanding on that factory, is going to help save them a lot of money. So that's why we're seeing R2 come out of Normal, Illinois. But the Georgia factory is still expected to come online. So the first half of 2026, we will see construction of the Georgia factory start up again right alongside R2, which I imagine will help them build the Georgia factory better in some ways. I imagine all of the knowledge they're going to learn from building R2 in Normal about how they want to make the plant, that's going to help them understand and shape how they're going to make the plant when it comes to Georgia. Now, it's going to come in two phases. So this factory is going to have their first phase, which will allow 200,000 units of R2 or R3. And then the second phase, which will allow another 200,000 units of R2 and R3, which it's worth mentioning. This is where R3 will be introduced, the Georgia factory. It is unlikely that we will see R3 coming out of Normal, Illinois. But continued, this would be 400,000 units of R2, R3 combined coming out of the Georgia Stanton Springs factory, which would put Rivian at over 615,000 units annually among their Georgia and Normal, Illinois factories. Of course, we know Rivian secured a $6 billion loan from the Department of Energy with $600 million worth of interest that they have to pay back. But that's going to help them build that Georgia factory. I believe it was estimated originally to be like $5 billion in cost. So that $6 billion is going to kind of help them build that factory out. And we will see the first R2 units from Georgia or even R3 in 2027, late 2027 at the very earliest. Right now, it's expected the first half of 2028. So quite a long time from now. That means we will likely be seeing R3, R3X in 2028, which kind of sucks because I really want R3. That's the vehicle that I want. I love R3. I want R3. But as of right now, it seems that that's going to be quite the ways away. Now, as a Rivian enthusiast, someone who pays attention to all of the news, a sleuth, if you will, and Rivian owner, it is exciting to see Rivian do all of this expanding. But I'm curious to hear from you guys. What do you think? R3, R3X, 2028. That is such a long time from now. That's like 3 years. I really would like to see R3 and R3X earlier, but I imagine R2 is really going to be their bread and butter. It's the main focus that Rivian should have. But personally, I want R3. I don't even want R3X, okay? I get the rally thing is cool, and I agree, but I just want R3. I drive an R1T. This thing is great, but I am all for compact, small EVs. That's what I love, okay? The Bolt EVs and the Bolt EUVs and the Rivian R3s and the Volvo EX30s, that's what I love. I want a Rivian R3, so hopefully they can get it out the door sooner than later. Maybe, just maybe, we could see Rivian expand the Normal, Illinois factory even more so they can then do R3 production. But at that point, I'd rather see them expand Normal, Illinois factory even more for R2. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, but thought I'd give you guys an update on what Rivian is doing in the infrastructure world. A lot is happening. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Out of Spec Bits, and I will see you guys in the next one.